Hi, I'm Pat. I want to show you one of the reasons it's important to keep your roof and rain gutters maintained and cleaned. This here, if you look down at this roof line, obviously has been patched. This roof is approximately 10 years old. And what happened was, if you take a look right up here, you have a big old oak tree. This gutter was clogged constantly. It was poor maintenance, basically. As you can see, these shingles, when they get debris from the roof coming down here, they stop and dam up in the valley. And these shingles, as you can see, you have newer ones and older ones. They lift and they get dirt under them. You can see some bugs here coming out. What happens is that moisture works its way and the leaves work its way under here. You wind up with roots and bugs and other assorted things up under there, which in turn keep the underside of your roof wet and eventually rot it out. Generally, it only takes about a year, maybe a year and a half before you wind up with rotten plywood decking, and subsequently it'll turn into ceiling damage below. Okay, what we're looking at here is the inside corner, or an outside corner of miter, what they're called, on the rain gutter. What happens is this caulk joint eventually peels inside of here. It's riveted together, and then it's a caulk joint inside. What happens is, with the expansion contraction of your roof line, your wooden roof line, much like a wooden door in your house on a humid day doesn't shut, and the next day it'll shut fine. Well, that's what happens with your roof line, and your gutter kind of moves with the roof line a little bit, just enough to tear the caulk. And what you wind up with is you start with a drip and a leak back here. You can see the little brown stains are starting to appear, and that's what happens when it starts dripping, generally from behind first, from behind the gutter. And you wind up with, this is all signs of moisture getting in here. The wood and the caulk joints splitting and opening up. Eventually what you wind up with is rotten fascia and rotten soffit. So it really is important to maintain these on a yearly basis. And typically your caulk joint's good for about 5 to 8 years, just depending on how much foliage you have above the house. What we're looking at here is where a roof line is tied in with this dormer on the second floor. What's happening here is this trim board, this cap board, is cut too close to the roof. As you can see, it should have about an inch, 3/4 to an inch up above the roof. So it should be cut approximately there and run down that way. What's happening is deflecting moisture back here. This wasn't finished very well. And you wind up with moisture getting behind into unsealed wood. It's absorbing up into this other face board, this trim board, and it's starting to absorb moisture. These are all signs of moisture along here. That it's an easy, inexpensive fix now before it gets too much worse. But this underneath here is how this side should look. Up about an inch, like I said, and this should all be sealed before it gets too much worse, and winds up. This is a direct access point down into the ceilings below, so that should be sealed and maintained now before it gets more expensive. Okay, what we're looking at here is some flashing. It's lifting. It's where the first and second floor tie in, and what happens is typically a 4-inch by 6-inch flashing up behind the siding, and from expansion contraction again, you wind up with this flashing lifting, and during a wind-driven rain event, you wind up with moisture blowing in. That's typically where we'll find lots of leaks, the addition joints. So again, this is some simple maintenance. Along here, this shingle should be lifted. This area is screwed down and sealed, and it'll stretch the life of the roof up to its normal age limits to about 15-20 years. Okay, this along the same roof line where the flashing's popping, you see a low now, and that's when the people putting the roof down, they get a little bit crazy with the nail gun and wind up putting it too low. They nail it too low. It should be nailed higher up around here. And this actually is a leak. It's an active leak. You wind up with the water getting in there, and you get some expansion contraction. Eventually that nail will pull out, and it'll be a hole in your roof.